Hello, it's Professor Streeter, and in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about the weekly tasks and expectations for the ethics course that we're going to be taking together. I have some slides to share with you in this slideshow, and I'll walk you through them a little bit. So I'll put myself up in the corner of the screen here and turn on the slideshow, and here we go. First point I want to make about this course is that it is a philosophy course. Ethics is an area of philosophy. And so unlike maybe some courses that you might take where you're learning specific content, what to think about biology or what to think about chemistry, or specific trade type courses where you're learning specific rules and regulations and kind of codes for how to install an HVAC system. This is not a course in which I will be teaching you what to think or what to do. Right? That is not our goal, but rather to engage together in a practice of thinking about how you think, thinking about how you act in dialogue with each other. So a critical practice, stepping back and reflecting on why you think the way you do or why you act the way you do, and trying to be more thoughtful about those reasons and to putting yourself out there in dialogue with me and other students in the classroom in trying to explain where you're coming from. So it's a practice of thinking critically. What you think, what you do is not really our task, but how you think about what you think and how you think about what you do. So in that sense, our goal is learning how to become accountable for your thoughts, your desires, your values, your actions, the person you are, the choices you make. Okay, so here's something in that context. How do you become more accountable to your thinking, to your actions? Well, part of it has to do with becoming more skilled in making arguments. So there is a skill here that we're going to focus on throughout the semester. How to make an argument with the idea of becoming more accountable to your own beliefs. One way to defend your beliefs is by making an argument. And one way to really stand by what you think and what you believe and what you feel and what you've done with your life is by defending it with an argument. So we'll think about arguments. We'll focus a lot on other people's arguments, okay? How to read for argument, how to look at a text and locate the argument, and how to respond to and criticize and raise questions about the arguments that other people make. Another thing that you'll learn in this class is how, connected to the idea of making arguments, connected to the idea of thinking critically and becoming more accountable, is how do you express your ideas more clearly and consistently, right? That is a goal for this course. So that's part of what I mean by becoming more accountable. These are 3 ways of thinking about that. Okay, what are some of our tasks in this philosophy course? First, reading. It's a big part of what we're going to be doing. About 50 pages a week. So each of these, I'm sort of breaking down the core points to make about each component of the course. What I'm expecting of you, how I'm assessing you, or how we're assessing each other. Come prepared each week to do about 50 pages of reading. There'll be there's a course schedule on D2L and a weekly content module that you can check for updates on the reading, but I pretty much keep it as it is. It's not going to change much over the course of the semester, so you can look at the schedule up front and see sort of what you're going to be reading each week. Reading. It's a process, it's a practice. You'll get better at it over the course of this semester. Philosophy is hard to read, but you'll get better at it. And I think you'll feel good about yourself as you develop the skill of reading philosophy. 2 steps. First, skim on the first read. And I'll talk to you more about how to do this. But look at the first paragraph, the last paragraph, the first sentence of each paragraph, and jot down some notes about what you get from that first skim. And then go through the second reading and do a careful analysis of each paragraph and drawing connections between the introduction and the conclusion and what comes between. So think about reading as a practice, a process, and for a philosophy text, aim to read it more than once, skimming the first time and taking a more careful note-taking on the second read. That's a big part of what we do each week. The discussion forums, what we do in the virtual class, which I'll be holding on Mondays or Wednesdays, or maybe a bit of both, and all of the homework and writing assignments really depend on the base of it all is reading. So if you're doing the reading carefully, you'll be in a position to engage meaningfully in the discussion forums and the virtual classes, to write meaningfully about what you're reading in the homework and the essays and the exams. Okay, so each week there will be discussion forums that you post on D2L. Again, there is a virtual class that you can attend each week. I will record it for those of you who can't attend, but the expectation is that you watch those recordings if you can't attend live. And then during those classes, I'll have an assignment that we work on together. And so you can complete that during the hour and a half that we're together virtually, if you're there. Otherwise, you can complete it on your own time during the week in which it's assigned. So that's one component of the course. About 15% of your grade will be based on what you show us in the discussion forums and in the virtual class and the activities that we do in the virtual class. Okay, I'll talk more about the schedule for the virtual class and what we'll be doing in those classes. I sent out a link to a survey, and one of the questions in the survey is what times are convenient for you to meet virtually. And I'll try to mix it up a little bit on Mondays and Wednesdays to meet your scheduling needs. Okay. Each week, well, every other week, there'll be a written homework assignment, what I call reading reflections, and each one is different. By the end of the semester, I want to see that you're getting clearer in your writing, that you're more consistent and clear in the way you express yourself in the writing, and that you're showing you're showing evidence that you're reading the texts closely and analyzing them carefully in your writing. The homework reflections are due by Sunday of the week in which they're assigned. All of your writing for this course that you turn in, the homework, the essays, the exams, must be written in shared Google Docs. So this is very important. You begin the writing process by creating a Google Doc, sharing it with me, giving me editor status, and then I have access to it. I can see your writing process, I can comment on it. I will show you how to share the link with me in the D2L assignment folder, but the key is creating the document and sharing it with me. I'll get it through email, and that is how I will read and comment and assess your writing. Okay, and we'll look at some student writing during the virtual classes, so it's also a chance to get some feedback from other students. Okay, so the homework assignments, again, are not every week, but about every other week you can expect to turn something in, meaning share a Google Doc with me and give me editor status. Okay, that's again about 20% of your grade are those reading reflections that you're doing over the course of the semester. We have quizzes. I haven't exactly figured out the format for the quizzes, but there'll be about 7 of them. They're timed on D2L, and again, those will be due the Sunday in which they're assigned. And I'll talk more about the quizzes, but the goal for the quiz is to show me or to see how well you are reading the texts carefully. So the questions, whether they're multiple choice or short answer, or whether I ask you to share comments directly in a Google Doc, right? There are different formats that the quizzes might take, but they're all focused on reading, and that's about 15% of the grade. Then finally, half your grade is based on 2 essays that you write and 2 exams that you take. The exams are weighted evenly. The midterm will cover what we read in the first half of the semester, and the final exam will cover what we read in the second half of the semester. And again, those exams are take-home since it's an online class, but you will write your exams in shared Google Docs and give me editor status. Same with the essays. There will be 1 essay due at the middle of the semester and 1 due at the end of the semester. Writing is a process, and so the goal for the essays is to see that you're working on it over the course of a number of weeks and writing drafts and scaffolding the essay assignment. So it's something you'll write in stages, and I'll want to see different stages of the essay. You'll get homework credit. Some of your homework credit will go toward scaffolded parts of the essays. And then you'll get, obviously, essay credit toward the full draft and the revision. I'll ask you to revise each essay for credit. Okay, so a big goal of the course is an expectation of mine is that you take your writing seriously, and you make it a project to become a better writer this semester. And so I'll help you with that, and we'll do some peer review during the virtual classes, looking at each other's essays together. Again, those are documents that you begin the writing process in a Google document, you share it with me and give me editor access. Okay, so that covers the 6 components of the course. A couple of things to say here at the end. Tips for success. Again, as I said earlier, when you read, after the first skim, make sure you take careful notes on the second read and jot down questions you have and share them in the discussion boards or during the virtual classes, or send me an email like, hey, I read this, I didn't really understand it. Here's a question I have. Okay, but take specific notes about places where you get stuck, and keep track of the structure of the argument. How are you following the argument that the author is making? Where do you get stuck? What questions do you have? Okay. The more notes you take, the better prepared you'll be for the discussions and the virtual class, and also the better prepared you'll be to write your homework assignments, to write your essays, to write your exams. The more notes you take, you'll be in a better position to comprehend and analyze and break down the difficult readings that we're doing for this class. If you have any doubts, questions, make sure to check your email. I will communicate with you regularly over PSC Gmail and in the announcements page on D2L. So please make sure to regularly, more than once a week, a few times a week, check your email, check your D2L announcements. If you're still unsure about what's going on or what you're supposed to do, you can always reach out to me with an email, set up an office hour. Another thing to keep in mind is that you're going to get more out of this class if you open up, if you share something of yourself. Right? That goes back to the point about accountability. I want to see that you come to this class with an interest in reflecting on the beliefs that you have and the values that you avow and the commitments that you've made to the life that you're living. But the more you open up, the more you share, the more you'll get from the readings and the written assignments. You can share on the discussion forum, you can share during the virtual class, you can reach out to your fellow students or to me. There's lots of ways of engaging in an online class. Don't worry about perfection. For example, with the essay drafts, turn them in early and often. Don't hold on to them. Right? The more you show me, the more feedback I can give you, and the better you'll get as a writer. But perfection is not the goal. I just want to see that you make progress as a writer this semester. I can't say enough about office hours. I want to get to know you. I want to be able to talk to you one-on-one. Since this is a virtual class, that's harder. An online class, that's harder. So schedule office hours with me on Calendly. You can come to campus. We can do it on Google Meet. It's up to you. I want to talk to you in the first few weeks of the semester, but I also encourage you to visit my office regularly over the course of the semester. And then try your best to establish connections with your classmates. Again, it's hard on an online class, but this can happen on the discussion forum, through email, during the virtual classes. Okay, I think you'll get more out of the class if you feel more connected to each other. Please feel free to raise any questions about the ethics class. This is the end of the video. I've shared a little joke here with you, which we can talk about another time. But that is all I have for you today. Okay, I look forward to working with all of you this semester. Okay, bye.